I love everything about it. I love the fact that they all decided to be part of Jeff Bezos's fantasy to get in his shaped rocket. Their little spaceship is shaped exactly like with a big at the top, and blast out into, like, quote, space.
2 days, becoming a crew, becoming a team.
After you go through an experience like this, it's more than a team. It's almost like a family. You are so tight to go through something as intense as this. So, you know, as you said, this is like a bridled beast. This thing wants to take off.
Switch to onboard helium.
No, you're not the crier of the group.
Feeler of the group.
No, you are not.
I'm crier.
I'm going to tell you something right now. You are officially an astronaut.
Thank you so much.
How do you feel?
I feel super connected to love. So connected to love. I think this experience has shown me you never know how much love is inside of you, like how much love you have to give, and how loved you are until the day you launch.
Oh my God. Their training, they did 2 days.
Katy!
Katy Perry thought she was making history, floating weightlessly, wrapped in a shiny spacesuit, clutching her heart as tears welled in her eyes. Cameras flashing, headlines ready to crown her the first pop icon to conquer space. But down on Earth, not everyone was buying the sparkle. Enter Megyn Kelly, a woman with no interest in playing along with the Hollywood space fantasy. While Katy kissed the ground dramatically after her 11-minute trip beyond the Earth's atmosphere, Megyn was busy doing something else, absolutely dismantling the whole event in one of the most savage roasts the internet has seen in years.
All-female Blue Origin space crew with celebrities including Katy Perry, Lauren Sanchez and Gayle King has been hilariously mocked after it returned to Earth following an 11-minute trip into the Earth's atmosphere. Katy Perry jumped out of the aircraft and kissed the ground in a painfully cringe moment that has been roasted online.
But he goes when they fly on Delta. And it would have been fine. If they had done it, we would have mocked their obsession with their little outfits and Lauren Sanchez with the huge and pumped out even in space. We would have mocked it a little. I'm not going to lie. But they wouldn't have taken serious blowback like they did from both sides if they had just done this. If they had gotten off of the thing and come back down and said, that was amazing.
This wasn't just a simple jab or a polite critique. It was a full-blown dismantling. Megyn didn't just pop Katy's glittery bubble. She stomped on it, set it on fire, and tossed the ashes into the same atmosphere Katy barely escaped. And as the clips went viral, racking up millions of views and thousands of comments, one thing became crystal clear. The public was tired of manufactured actress moments, especially when they reeked of PR stunts rather than true achievement. But to understand just how brutal this takedown was and why it resonated so deeply, we need to rewind. Let's start with a mission that was supposed to inspire a generation and instead became meme material overnight.
5 more words.
Katy Perry regrets space flight. Michelle, sad story. Katy Perry reportedly regrets making the all-female Blue Origin ride such a big spectacle. And she especially regrets the video from inside the pod being released after all the backlash she's gotten. Do you feel bad for her?
No.
No.
No, not even a little bit.
It's okay. Leave Flynn up there. Flynn, bye. You look
It all started with a big announcement. Katy Perry, Lauren Sanchez, and Gayle King were set to board Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin rocket for an all-female flight into space. The press releases framed it as a groundbreaking moment, not just for women, but for humanity itself. Talk shows lit up with giddy excitement. Social media buzzed. Major networks praised the symbolic power of seeing such iconic female figures take to the skies. The mission was packaged like the ultimate feel-good story. Empowerment, achievement, breaking barriers. All the right words carefully woven into the narrative.
I don't like that people are calling it a ride. A ride, you never see a male astronaut who's going up in space and they said, oh, he took a ride. We actually duplicated the route that Alan Shepard did. No one said he took that ride. Yeah. It's always referred to as a flight or a journey. So I feel that that's a little disrespectful to what the mission was and what the work that Blue Origin does.
And for a moment, it worked. Millions tuned in to see the glamorous launch. Cameras captured every detail. The sleek silver rocket poised against a cloudless sky, the crew waving proudly in their custom suits, Katy's signature grin flashing as she posed for the perfect pre-flight shot. The world watched as the countdown hit 0 and liftoff. For 11 glorious minutes, Katy Perry was technically an astronaut. The rocket pierced the boundary of Earth's atmosphere, giving the crew a brief taste of weightlessness before they began their gentle fall back down. Inside the cabin, Katy floated around with wide eyes, clinging to little personal items she brought along. A miniature microphone, a sparkling charm. She giggled, twirled, and clutched her heart, speaking in flowery, emotional language about feeling so connected to love and being overwhelmed by the experience. It was the perfect storybook ending, at least on paper. But even as Katy floated through the cabin, a different kind of weightlessness was becoming obvious. A weightlessness not of gravity, but of substance. There were no major scientific experiments performed, no daring spacewalks, no complex missions or breakthroughs, just selfies, sound bites, and heavily branded moments ready for TikTok and morning shows. And as Katy proudly declared herself Captain Perry while playfully saluting Jeff Bezos, it was clear this wasn't just about space exploration. It was about image, branding, PR, and that's exactly where Megyn Kelly saw her opening and prepared to strike. While most of the media was busy fawning over the flight, Megyn Kelly took one look at the glittery headlines and didn't just raise an eyebrow. She raised the roof. And the first thing she couldn't help but mock? The rocket itself. With her signature dry wit, Megyn pointed out the painfully obvious design flaw that most mainstream outlets politely ignored. The Blue Origin rocket looked ridiculous, specifically like something straight out of a bad joke, or worse, a desperate midlife crisis. She didn't mince words either. In Megyn's words, the rocket resembled a phallic fantasy, complete with a cartoonishly obvious shape that no one in Bezos' team apparently had the guts or the self-awareness to redesign. Watching celebrities like Katy Perry proudly board a spacecraft that looked like it had been ripped from an adult comic book was just too much for Megyn, and for millions of viewers who quickly turned the rocket into meme gold. But it wasn't just the rocket that Megyn tore into. She went after the entire tone of the event, calling out the forced sense of historic importance that was being shoved down viewers' throats. The endless talk of breaking barriers and inspiring women felt, to her and many others, not like a genuine celebration, but like a carefully crafted advertisement. Is this really a giant leap for women? Megyn asked. Or was it just a glitter-covered marketing campaign riding on the backs of celebrities too eager to bask in the spotlight? The question hit a nerve, because when you stripped away the shiny suits and the emotional speeches, what was left wasn't a story of daring achievement. It was a handful of rich, famous people hitching a ride on a billionaire's pet project for 11 minutes, only to land back on Earth with an Instagram reel ready to post. And for viewers who expected something more, something real, it felt insulting. And Megyn Kelly, never one to shy away from controversy, became the voice saying out loud what everyone else was thinking. But if you thought the roast ended there, you're wrong. Because next, she set her sights not just on the mission, but on the crew themselves. One by one, Megyn Kelly began dismantling the so-called historic crew that Blue Origin proudly showcased. And she didn't even have to dig deep, because the cracks were already painfully visible. First up was Lauren Sanchez, known more for her flashy personal life and her relationship with Jeff Bezos than for any groundbreaking journalism or scientific achievements. Lauren was an easy target. Megyn pointed out bluntly that Lauren was better known for showing off her assets than showing any meaningful contribution to serious conversation. It was harsh, but it landed because it echoed what countless people were already whispering behind screens and keyboards. Then came Gayle King, a respected television host, yes, but as Megyn noted, much of Gayle's career had been undeniably boosted by her long-standing friendship with Oprah Winfrey. Megyn questioned whether Gayle's presence on the flight was about genuine merit or simply a well-timed favor that added a sheen of credibility, though, to an otherwise flimsy event. And finally, Katy Perry herself, the pop star who once commanded stadiums and topped charts, now floating in a tiny capsule, spending more time waving at the onboard cameras and flaunting her cute space trinkets than actually engaging with the majesty of space itself. Megyn described her performance as almost painful to watch, a woman more obsessed with making sure she was seen than actually experiencing the moment.
Their training comes down to this. Their training? What are you saying? Lauren Sanchez can't string 2 sentences together. She's only known for showing her to people. Gayle King we don't know how smart she is. All we know is that she's friends with Oprah. That's how she's gotten every gig she's ever gotten. And then you got Katy Perry, who spent her big moment spending more time looking inside the camera than outside the craft, because she was too obsessed with showing us the little things she'd brought to space and making sure she was seen on camera with her doe-eyed little...
Connected to that strong, divine feminine right now.
What are you guys gonna do up in space? What are you doing up there? A space mission this morning. That's in time. This is beyond parody.
This is all for the benefit of Earth.
You care about Mother Earth, and it's about Mother Earth, and you're going up in a spaceship that is built and paid for by a company that's single-handedly destroying the planet.
Meaning, it all comes down to literally they learned how to buckle their seatbelts and wear the suits that were designer and showed Lauren Sanchez's boobs. Okay, no one's going to convince me that those rockets are not like Jeff. I think we're all just part of some weird Jeff Bezos sexual fantasy right now. What I got was lectures in how brave they are, how proud I am of me, which is what Gayle King said, and how proud we all needed to be of them, how nothing that happened on board that spacecraft, which is what they wanted us to call it over and over, like it was an Apollo mission craft, was frivolous. Nothing around this space flight, this space journey, that's how they wanted to be referred to, not a flight, was frivolous. Meanwhile, they invited the Kardashians. Okay, they could invite anybody in the world to watch them, and they invited Oprah and the Kardashians. But then they don't understand why we didn't take it seriously.
It wasn't just critique. It was a dismantling of the entire image that Blue Origin had worked so hard to sell. The idea of strong, pioneering women boldly going where few had gone before, replaced by a parade of media-trained smiles, selfie moments, and prepackaged empowerment slogans. And viewers felt it too, because despite the glitter, despite the fanfare, something about the mission felt hollow, manufactured. And as Megyn's brutal breakdown spread across social media, the public's initial excitement turned into laughter and a whole lot of secondhand embarrassment. But the reality of it all, that was only just starting to come to light. Just when you thought Megyn Kelly's takedown couldn't get sharper, she pulled out the biggest irony card of them all, the glaring environmental deception. Because let's be honest, the save the planet narrative that celebrities love to champion didn't exactly line up with the reality of this mission. Here were these stars, Katy Perry, Lauren Sanchez, and Gayle King, talking about feeling connected to Mother Earth, about protecting the environment, about honoring the fragile beauty of our planet, while simultaneously blasting themselves into the atmosphere aboard a rocket funded by a company with a carbon footprint larger than some entire countries. Megyn wasted no time pointing out the contradiction. How could anyone take their Earth-first messaging seriously when they were willingly participating in one of the most resource-intensive, high-emission stunts imaginable? A Blue Origin launch isn't just a cute photo shoot moment. It's an environmental event, and not in a good way. She hammered the point home. If you genuinely care about reducing emissions and saving the planet, maybe, just maybe, don't hitch a ride on a billionaire's vanity project that burns an astronomical amount of fuel just so you can float around for 11 minutes and collect Instagram likes. The message was brutally clear. The crew wasn't saving the planet. They were selling an image. It wasn't just about hypocrisy. It was about the empty nature of modern celebrity activism. Words like sustainability and earth love get tossed around at galas and on red carpets. But when push comes to shove, when it's time to really live those values, suddenly it's all about the photo op. And viewers noticed. The comment sections exploded with people calling out the doublespeak, the performative activism, the jaw-dropping lack of self-awareness. Memes of Captain Katy Perry, defender of the Earth, but only after her space selfie, flooded the internet. Megyn didn't just criticize the deception, she exposed it. And once exposed, there was no stuffing it back in the bottle. But the best and worst reactions, those came from the internet itself. If Megyn Kelly lit the first match, the internet poured on the gasoline. Within hours of the Blue Origin flight returning to Earth, memes, TikToks, and savage tweets took over the conversation. Instead of celebrating a historic achievement, social media turned the entire mission into a running joke. Clips of Katy Perry's emotional rambling about feeling love were remixed with clown music. Side-by-side comparisons of the rocket's unfortunate shape flooded meme pages. One viral post called it the world's most expensive midlife crisis. Another dubbed Katy's emotional speech Oscar-worthy in the worst way possible. The internet didn't just laugh, it roared. And once the jokes started, they couldn't be stopped. People dug deeper too, questioning the real motives behind behind the mission, exposing the environmental damage and pointing out how tone-deaf the whole historic narrative felt. It wasn't just funny, it was a cultural gut check. This wasn't the inspiring moment Katy, Lauren, and Gayle had envisioned. It was a warning about how quickly the public can see through manufactured moments, and how brutal the fallout can be when they do. But here's the real kicker. Even as the internet mocked the mission into oblivion, the crew and the media machine around them kept trying to spin it as an empowering, groundbreaking achievement. And that only made it worse, because nothing fuels the internet's savagery faster than watching someone desperately pretend everything is fine, when everyone else already knows the ship has sailed. In a world where authenticity matters more than ever, the Blue Origin celebrity flight became a textbook case of what not to do. And if Katy Perry thought she was reaching for the stars, she quickly learned that falling back to Earth can be a lot harder and a lot harsher than anyone ever tells you. When you strip away the shiny suits, the designer space boots, and the emotional sound bites, what's left is a hard truth about modern fame. And it's not pretty. Megyn Kelly's takedown wasn't just about mocking a silly PR stunt or calling out a few celebrities. It was about pulling back the curtain on how fame works in 2025 and how desperate it's become. Once upon a time, fame came from real achievement, from groundbreaking albums, unforgettable performances, or moments of true cultural significance. But today, too often it's about grabbing any attention you can, no matter how hollow the moment might be. Katy Perry didn't need to go to space to stay relevant, but relevance, real relevance, is fleeting, especially in a world where viral fame can burn out overnight. And so, instead of letting her career evolve naturally, she hitched a ride on a billionaire's spaceship, hoping to manufacture a moment that would make headlines and cement her name in history. The problem is, viewers are smarter now. They can smell the difference between something authentic and something manufactured from a mile away. And when they feel manipulated, when they sense that a moment has been crafted not for meaning but for clicks and clout, they react brutally, mercilessly, because no one wants to be sold a fairy tale when the strings are so clearly visible. It's not just Katy either. It's a trend across Hollywood, music, a desperate scramble to stay on top by any means necessary. But as this saga shows, trying too hard to force history often backfires spectacularly. The truth? You can't manufacture meaning. You can't brand your way into being a legend. And no matter how many rockets you ride or tears you shed on camera, real respect, the kind that lasts, can't be launched into space. It has to be earned. In the end, Katy Perry may have left Earth for 11 glorious minutes, but it was the public and Megyn Kelly who truly brought her crashing back down. The Blue Origin celebrity flight could have been a celebration of human achievement, of pushing boundaries, of reaching for the stars. Instead, it became a masterclass in how quickly a manufactured moment can collapse under the weight of its own phoniness. It exposed a brutal truth about fame in the modern era. It's no longer enough to just show up and smile for the cameras. People crave authenticity. They want real stories, real risks, real meaning, not polished PR stunts wrapped in glitter and Instagram filters. And when celebrities forget that, when they treat real moments like just another marketing opportunity, the backlash isn't just harsh, it's swift, global, and almost impossible to recover from. As Katy Perry, Lauren Sanchez, and Gayle King learned the hard way, you can soar to the edge of space. You can float weightlessly in a billion-dollar capsule. You can even call yourself Captain Perry. But none of that matters if the world below is laughing, not in celebration, but in disbelief. Because at the end of the day, it's not how high you fly that defines you. It's how real you are when you finally come back down.